This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
CJ, I really appreciate you making some time for us. Bobby Petrino, that's your new offensive coordinator. What has the last few weeks been like with him being hired and Coach Pittman, the conversations y'all have had?
Yeah, so, it's been really good. The difference between him and Dan Enos got hired. They had to do a lot of convincing, telling everybody about, how good he was. But when Bobby Petrino got hired, everybody already knew how good he was. There's nothing but positive things talked about Bobby Petrino. He's an offensive genius, as people call him. And I'm really excited to get in his system.
Now, CJ, I know you posted that picture of you in Big Red, which is just an awesome picture. So you've been an Arkansas fan for a while. And I do wonder, some of your commitment teammates probably have no idea about Bobby Petrino at Arkansas, or very little. You're still young, but you might have some recollection. You seem to know about the past of Bobby Petrino here in Arkansas.
I do. So I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Then I moved to Minnesota. And then I moved here when I was about 5. So I don't remember it a whole lot, but I remember it. And to be honest, I was never really a huge Arkansas fan. But, they were right here, so I was forced to kind of hear about it in general. But, yeah, I remember Bobby Petrino. I remember everything that went on with him. I've got a couple coaches that played for Bobby Petrino. So, I've heard everything there is about him. And I've got some friends that play for him at A&M. So, yeah, I know a lot about him. That's
an interesting dynamic, some coaches at Bentonville that played for him. And I guess, again, he's changed over the years now in the offensive coordinator role. What have you heard about him?
He'll sit down in the film room, and start breaking stuff down. And you just, can't do anything but just be quiet and listen because of how, amazing it is and how his mind processes football and offense just in general. That's one of the more exciting things is because I'm a really technical person. Getting taught by another technical person, I think that's going to work out really well for me.
CJ, I want to ask you about this season, Arkansas, and I will reflect on what you guys were able to accomplish at Bentonville, but they go 4-8 this year, and Pittman was pretty adamant this week. It's we lost out on some guys because we didn't have a good season. How much were other coaches outside of Arkansas contacting you, even after you committed to try and sway you? And then how was Coach Kenny Guiden, Pittman, Petrino, how are they able to convince you to still stay and sign with Arkansas?
I want to lead with that. There was no matter how many games they won or lost, there was no thought in my mind that it was an option to decommit because I'm always going to be true to my word. That's something my mom, and my dad brought me up on. That you're only as good as your word. But after that BYU loss, it felt like the next morning. There was all the coaches that have offered me, all the ones that hadn't offered me, that were ready to offer me if I was ready to decommit. Thought that they were going to be able to get in. I thought it was really funny kind of because, they'd text me. I would respond for a while, then they'd text me again. I'm like, dang. Just leave me alone. I'm not coming to your school type.
That kind of, what that kind of sounds like, CJ? It kind of sounds like you're in a relationship with a girlfriend it's on the rocks, it's on the fritz, and there's other girls that are sliding up on your DMs are you about to be single? What's going on?
Yeah.
CJ, you got offered back in January. You committed in June. I wonder, when you got offered, were you pretty sure at that point this is where I was going to wind up, or did it take you a few months to figure that out?
It took me a really long time because for all my life and all my recruiting, I didn't think that I really wanted to be, close to home. I thought I wanted to get out and experience new things. But, you think about it, my parents had some long talks. No matter where, if I went here or if I went 10 hours away to Knoxville, I told them my parents are going to be living right next to me. The thing about Arkansas is I can come see my parents if I want to, but if I don't feel like going to see my parents, I just don't see my parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll get a college experience wherever I'm at. So I didn't know for sure right away, but pretty soon. I was a silent commit for probably about a month and a half.
Okay. I don't think sometimes Northwest Arkansas kids, and I know you've had an interesting experience, Cleveland, Ohio, and kind of some guys are just they're ready to get out. How much do you think that may have played into less in-state commits this year that have signed relative to maybe what's in years past, CJ?
If I'm being honest, the only really recruit I think that Arkansas missed on probably 3 recruits in state this year. I think a lot of it had to do with money conversations. And I don't think Coach Pittman really, and I don't want to speak for him, but from what I hear, it doesn't sound like he really wants to get in like a bidding war with a high school athlete that hasn't proved anything.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Because
you have no clue. If I'm going to be honest, I watched a couple games this year of some of the top recruits in Arkansas, and I'm like, I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, I just don't see it. If you are not dominating at a high school level, why would somebody get in a bidding war with you? It just doesn't make sense to me.
And I think about you playing the wide receiver position. You probably watch film of like the top 5-star wide receivers, and you're like, that dude doesn't have anything that I don't have, but he's rated 2 stars higher, a couple slots up. And I just find that dynamic that you experience very interesting. And frankly, I think sometimes the high school recruits actually might be better evaluators than coaches in certain cases.
Yeah, because I don't want to say that's unbiased, but it's like you can compare, but coaches get caught up a lot in the, what's around them. I'm not in a hotbed for athletes right now. But that doesn't take away the fact that like I can play ball. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't frustrate me that I don't think I get the recognition that I deserve. But I've never been one to, get caught up in letting somebody tell me how good I am at football based on star rankings. One thing is that's not going to matter when you get to college. It doesn't care if you're a 2, 3, 4, 5 star when you get to college. That doesn't matter at all.
CJ, you bring up a really important point there that I want to hit on. You mentioned not necessarily being a hotbed. You're that age. How do we grow Northwest Arkansas football, and how do we grow in Little Rock?
I think the culture here has to change at some schools. You see like the North Little Rocks. They used to be a powerhouse. We've obviously been a powerhouse for the past long time. But the culture, like at Bentonville, is really good. There's an expectation of winning. Some teams, it looks like when they get to the playoffs, they're ready to play basketball. You know what I mean? And I think that's only coaches. If I'm being honest, like Buck James, I don't know a lot about him as a coach, but I know he was able to build a culture. My coach, Coach Grant, was able to build a culture, of just family and, being tough. For example, when we went against Bryant, we didn't care that they had won 5 straight this year or anything about that. We were just ready to go beat them, you know what I mean? So I think it's really just the culture of the football. I don't know. I don't love hearing about, like, how we're not a good football state because when I'm talking about Alabama, Georgia, Texas fans or friends that are recruits are like, nah, Arkansas ain't good at football. They don't even know how good we are at football. We just don't. A lot of us don't get recruited like we should. So
that's a chip on the shoulder mentality. And you've got some buddies, or what I would assume are going to be your buddies, like KJ Jackson, who's an Alabama kid, Ashton Bethel Roman, who's a Texas kid. Have you? I know it's still early, and you guys hadn't gotten to campus yet, but have you started to form relationships? Are you in group text with these guys, kind of as you?
We're all tight. Me and KJ FaceTime like almost every day. Me and Ashton talk all the time, especially like the days leading up now. We talk every single day.
That's a good sign. Again, we're talking with CJ Brown, Bentonville wide receiver, Arkansas signee. I want to ask you, you mentioned beating Bryant. I want to ask you about getting the state championship and going up against Fayetteville. That's a great rivalry football-wise.
Yeah.
Just kind of your thoughts. It's a couple weeks behind us, but your thoughts on kind of how things played out in state.
Yeah, it took me probably a couple weeks to get over it. I'm sure I still won't get over it, but, that was a game where, we made some mistakes that we had never made all season. We went from West blowing them out to Cabot blowing them out to even Bryant, we comfortably beat them, to Fayetteville, who, if I'm being honest and no disrespect, is not a better team than Bryant. or us, in my opinion. But on that day, they were a better team than us. They made less mistakes. We fumbled the ball 2 times. Hadn't done that all year. We had a lot of snap infractions, some holdings that we hadn't done really all year at all. So, it's a big moment for a lot of kids, and it's a big moment for me, but it's just staying focused in those moments and being able to perform under pressure that we kind of missed on. But, hats off to them. They played a really good season. They got some really good players on the team. And ultimately, I guess they deserve that ring because they played better on that day.
You took an official visit to Minnesota, which Fayetteville quarterback Drake Lindsay, that's where he signed. Mm-hmm. Was he trying to kind of get in your ear a little bit? Why don't we get 2 NWA boys up to Minneapolis?
Yeah, he kind of got them to start recruiting me. I think they started recruiting me because they found out that me and him were in the same conference, because they recruited him first. But they found out, I think, that we were in the same conference. And I bet some talk got going, and they came down. They actually came to, I had like a class, and in the middle of the class, it was crazy. I got called out of class, and Coach Grant said, grab your cleats, and I'm like, all right. And I grabbed my cleats, and I just did I got my quarterback in that class too, and we just do a workout in front of the offense coordinator for Minnesota. It was kind of funny.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking, what am I getting called for? And then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Kind of a pseudo tryout at one point.
Mm-hmm.
CJ, one of the things I think people are excited about you is not only, again, your NWA connection, but track and field speed, man. Arkansas hasn't had that track and field speed really since Petrino. I know you mentioned Ashton earlier. You might have to help me with the other wide receiver, the Louisiana kid, New Orleans area.
Crows?
Yeah, Crows. I know he's got some track speed to him. How much of an element do you think that will factor in maybe you contributing early for this football team next fall?
I think it's really good. They're really, if I'm being honest, at receiver, they don't have anybody that can, they got Isaiah. Isaiah can run. Jaden Wilson can run. I've really seen, Andrew or Isaac open up, but it's just getting more speed on the field, I think, is really good. I think a part where I contribute is I'm really good after the catch, because I used to play running back, and I know how to make people miss, and I'm not easy to bring down and stuff like that. So I think that's where I can contribute early.
You're a big yak guy.
Yeah, that's where I think the bulk of my yards come from.
CJ, we really appreciate you making some time for us, and I'm excited to see what your future looks like here in Fayetteville.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate it.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.